Prime time on a Thursday night from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. Preds currently underway, leading the Dallas Stars 1-0 after the first period. Tonight, we're going to talk about a weird report that came out yesterday discussing one of the most important Predators players. We'll spend some time talking about Pekka Rinne, given that it is his night. He had his jersey retired to the rafters, the first ever in Nashville Predators history to have this done. So we'll discuss at length together and do a Brymac bounce back candidate as well here on the Primetime Show. Before we get started, we need you guys to share this show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, wherever it is that you're hanging out with us. We would greatly appreciate it. If you are on Twitter, please retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're hanging out on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you are on YouTube or on Twitch, please do us the courtesy of subscribing to the A to Z Sports channels, where you can get our live stream content 7 days a week. Preds, Titans, Vols, college football, NFL, SEC, whatever you want, we got it here on the A to Z Sports Primetime Network. And now that more of you are here, we can go ahead and talk about this weird report that almost ruined Pekka Rinne's day. Welcome into A to Z Sports Primetime on a Thursday from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford, also a partner of the Nashville Predators, Two Rivers Ford. Get your vehicle built for you at Two Rivers Ford today in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code A2Z Sports will get you in on all the action in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Tell you more about what they have on offer for you later in the show. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, GaryAshton.com is where you go for your dream address without the stress and to sell your home for more, like only the Ashton team can help you with the Intel Edge at GaryAshton.com. And of course, Brymac Mechanical, BRYMAK, Brymac.com, satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. Brymac is where you go. So, we don't often do Pred shows. Karen O'Keefe says, who is going to the Stadium Series on Saturday? We probably don't pay as much attention to the Nashville Predators as we should. But in the last 2 days, they've had a fair amount of news that's come our way. And also with this lull in the NFL, it gives us an opportunity to talk about some hockey. So with everything that's happening, obviously currently the game going on between the Dallas Stars and the Nashville Predators, Pekka Rinne Day, right? Number 35, raised into the rafters at Bridgestone Arena. But prior to that, in fact, last night, as Pekka was starting to ramp up his media appearances and host luncheons at the Preds practice facility, this report came out about the idea that the Nashville Predators are actively shopping Filip Forsberg. Now, the report, and I'll pull up the source material for you on that here in just a second. The report coming from Andy Strickland, who is a St. Louis-based rinkside reporter for Bally Sports and the St. Louis Blues. He hosts a sports talk radio show in St. Louis as well. So, by all accounts, and I'm not familiar with Andy Strickland, but I can't say that I'm overwhelmingly familiar with hockey reporters. Andy Strickland tweeted out right about the time the Primetime Show started last night, hearing the Preds are actively shopping superstar Filip Forsberg. So this report comes out, and locally it's being discussed almost nowhere. Like, I can't find anybody with good information on whether this, on whether the idea that Filip Forsberg, who, I guess the comparison for like the Titans would be like putting Derrick Henry on the trade block, like a superstar player being actively shopped while his team is in the middle of a playoff run. I think that it was, and nothing has come of it since. There's no guarantee that Filip Forsberg will be moved right away, but it is pretty interesting to have this pop up right in the middle of everything that's happening for the for Nashville's professional hockey team at this point. So I want to start there with your Two Rivers Ford take here on a Thursday night. Should the Preds trade Filip Forsberg? Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. We'll discuss it at length together on the primetime show. Should the Preds trade Philip Forsberg? Let me know how you feel about it. And while you do, I will discuss, or I'll tell you about the people who make this possible. The Two Rivers Ford Take, of course, is made possible by our great friends at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business. They've been operating with honesty and integrity since 1983. Two Rivers Ford, located in Mount Juliet or online, of course, at tworiversford.com. They present the Two Rivers Ford Take each and every Sunday through Thursday night. So, should they trade Philip Forsberg? Keisha says she did see that on Twitter. But again, Keisha, I haven't seen anybody locally based. Now, again, there's just a general problem with Preds reporting because we don't, and this is probably the case in any NHL market, right? We just don't have a lot of people who report on hockey as opposed to, we're in a football city, a football part of the country, and certainly a football primarily based state. So the Preds media corps, there's not a ton of them. And, when one of them, main beat writer, Adam Vingan, who is a friend of mine and somebody who I'm very happy for because he just had a kid, which is why he's not working at present, but he's on basically 4 months of paternity leave. So he's not covering the Preds right now and basically for the rest of the season. So when I was seeking out more information on this Philip Forsberg situation, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it at all. It was driving me crazy, as a matter of fact. There was nobody here locally who seemed to have a grasp on whether this Philip Forsberg trade rumor or the idea that they're shopping him had legitimate legs. So we were talking about it on the radio show today and just kind of going through the details of Philip Forsberg. He signed a 6-year, $36 million deal back in 2016. And I'm watching the Bally Sports first intermission right now with our friend Lindsay Rowley and Terry Chris. Pekka Rinne is currently at the desk with them after, decked out in the suit. He looks great. He's smiling. He's happy. He looks healthy. It's delightful to see. Lindsay Rowley, by the way, is going to be on the radio show with us tomorrow in studio to talk about this Pekka Rinne situation. So should they trade Forsberg, given that, he's playing, this has been the best year of his career at this point from a statistical standpoint. He is approaching the single game goal or the single season goal record set by Victor Arvidsson a couple of years ago this season with they've played 51 games, I think, so far. So still a handful of hockey games left to go. But do you sell high on this player who's always been great, but has never been consistently this kind of great? Do you reward him with a contract that's going to tie you to him for a considerable amount of time, in all likelihood, given the way that he's performed, and probably we'll see him depreciate as an asset? I think that Preds fans have mixed emotions on this, right? I think that when you kind of look at this Stanley Cup contender era, Puka says you didn't call Glennon. No, I tried to get Glennon on the radio show today, and Johnny's covering. I don't know what Johnny's full-time title is right now. I know he writes Titan stuff for SI.com, but he's also covering Preds for NHL.com this week. So apparently they've had him all over the place between the Pekka Rinne stuff and the Stadium series. So unfortunately, Glennon was not available. But even Glennon didn't. I looked through his timeline. I didn't see any kind of overwhelming insight about whether this is real or not. And again, I have no reason to doubt Andy Strickland, who reported. I don't know. I don't know who's credible in hockey that way, right? I don't know who the Adam Schefter of the NHL world is. I don't know if there is even an Adam Schefter of the NHL world. But when you kind of boil it down to its nuts and bolts, it's basically, do you think the Preds are still in a contending window or not to keep Philip Forsberg on the roster? And I would say to you, I believe that to be so. I understand that they're not at the top of the Central Division right now, but they're still very much the last wild card team in the postseason picture. When you look at how the Central Division is shaping up, there is a lot of great teams, a lot of competitive teams at the top, and the Preds currently scratching to get back in more of a comfortable position as opposed to being basically the last team in. Shane Stafford just jumps in there with Clearly no evidence of Harold Landry on the graphic and says, should we tag Landry or pay him? I don't care about Harold Landry tonight. I'm talking hockey, baby. I don't ever get to talk hockey. I won't. I mean, we don't ever talk hockey for a reason because nobody cares. I mean, you guys see how much smaller the show is tonight when we lead with Preds as opposed to Harold Landry tag stuff. But we did that earlier this week, Shane, and we'll probably do it later on. So, just take it easy for a night. We're talking puck at this point. Should they trade Philip Forsberg or not? I'll tell you how I think about it, or what I think about it, here in just a second, right after I tell you about our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. Promo code A2Z Sports gets you in on all the action with the NBA. And as an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association, they've got a great offer that's too good to pass up. I'm talking between the legs 360 windmill good. New customers can bet just $1 on any team and get $150 in free bets if they win. It's just that simple. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also bet on the NBA with same-game parlays that allow you to combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever it is that you want. So, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code A2Z Sports. Bet just $1 on any NBA team and get $150 in free bets if they win. With promo code A2Z Sports at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus, Tennessee only. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. So, should the Preds trade Philip Forsberg? Which is basically a question of, do you think they are still a contending Stanley Cup Series team at this point? Royale Wright says no. Karen O'Keefe says everyone is at the game. There's a lot of people at Bridgestone Arena tonight. Jeremy Graham says no. Let's see. Brett Matlock says absolutely should not trade Forsberg. Joseph Dion agrees with, we seem to have consensus. I haven't seen a single yes for the trading of Philip Forsberg at this point. And listen, I don't think there's any harm to exploring it. I think that you also, do you want to tie yourself to this dude long term? Are you more interested in getting something for Philip Forsberg right now when you could cash in probably, right? You could cash in at the peak, right? The stock is not getting any higher on Philip Forsberg in a career year. Would you cash in on him now to try and get something out of it long term, as opposed to, letting him play out this year and letting him walk if you're not comfortable paying him in the area of $9 million a year, right? Because he's had his career derailed, a couple of seasons derailed by injuries and things of that nature. So I think that when you kind of boil it down, no, of course they shouldn't trade Philip Forsberg. I think that they can still contend at this point. Now, again, the Stanley Cup playoffs are super bizarre. It's not like basketball where the better team usually ends up winning in a best of 5 or best of 7 series. We know this is the case about the NHL's postseason, and it's what makes the NHL's postseason so much fun. But as far as where the Preds are right now, given how well UC Saros is playing, given that you still have Roman Josi at the height of his powers on the roster, you still have Philip Forsberg. You're starting to get Matt Duchene to produce this season after 2 or 3 disappointing seasons. I'm pretty sure it's 2, but still less than ideal performances from Matt Duchene since arriving here with the Preds. They should absolutely not get rid of him. And I think the idea that they're simply exploring it, probably I saw Alex Doherty, our Preds writer, write a great column today that basically it's more smoke than fire around Philip Forsberg. But you got to be careful with that kind of smoke because it can very quickly throw your delicate ecosystem as a team and as a locker room, or I guess in hockey they call it a dressing room, can very easily throw it out of balance. Joseph Dion says, Poyle does make bad decisions. Every GM makes bad decisions. David Poyle has a track record and a history of making overwhelmingly correct decisions as far as this hockey team is concerned, even if, you may not be thrilled with what he's done since that 2017 Cup team kind of, the bill basically came due on it. Let's talk about Pekka Rinne, though. It is Pekka Rinne night, and then we'll get you back to this game. 1-0 currently at the first intermission. Preds over the Dallas Stars on Pekka Rinne night. Question I want to ask you is this: What is your favorite Pekka Rinne memory? Give me your answer on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll talk about it together. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. I know this is an emotional night for a lot of people who love that man and who certainly love that hockey team. Let me know what your favorite Pekka Rinne memory is. And while you do so, I will tell you about the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. It's Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of Remax Advantage, the official real estate agent of not just the Preds, the Titans, and of A to Z Sports Prime Time. They will help you win the buyer battle with the intel edge, the intel that only the Ashton team can provide to you. This is something we know. This is something that's proven. It's a formula for success for you to win the buyer battle in Middle Tennessee, because you know that the market can be hugely contentious. GaryAshton.com is where you go to find out more information and to get your dream address without the stress, or sell your home for more today at GaryAshton.com. What's your favorite Pekka Rinne memory? Let's talk about it in the comment section. So for, let's see, when he scored his goal, says Christy Satchwell. Yeah, it was an empty netter, right? Joseph Dion says absolutely when he scored a goal. So a lot of love for the goal scoring of a goalie who, obviously that doesn't happen very often. I can't remember who the opponent was, but the empty netter, I mean, people went crazy, right? For Pekka Rinne. Karen O'Keefe agrees that the scoring of a goal by Pekka Rinne was one of the best memories. But it's a shame that gets brought up more than anything, because he's had some incredible moments, some wild saves that we have seen. In fact, that I'm watching the broadcast with Willie Donick and Chris Mason right now. They currently have Jordan Tutu on the television set for Bally Sports with him before the game kicks back up. I get that the goal gets a lot of love, but I mean, so many great performances. Like, for me, I think it was him, and it wasn't just him that helped them shut out the Blackhawks or sweep the Blackhawks in a 4-game series here to start their 2017 Cup run. But that was one of my favorite, put together Pekka Rinne performances. I know there's so many more across, so many years since he's been involved with the NHL, but there's really nobody like Pekka Rinne.
Well, huge honor. It is. It's. I think, consider myself very fortunate that there's been a lot of great players in this organization over the years, and but also I realized that I was lucky enough to play for a long time for this organization, and that's obviously big thank you to David as well. He believed in me and gave me an opportunity, and I was able to have a long career in here, and so obviously that creates a connection to this organization and to this city, and I think that's obviously a big reason why I'm sitting here today.
So that's Pekka Rinne meeting with the media. In fact, he did that earlier today ahead of tonight's game, kind of talking about what the franchise means and how much time he spent here and how he basically grew up here. He started his family here, basically. It's a really, really cool story with Pekka Rinne, and there's so many great memories of him across the years. But the better part of 2 decades, basically, for Pekka. All the games of the Stanley Cup run, says Jen. Watching him make a save almost on his head. He's had so many crazy acrobatic plays in net, Puka. It's a great point that you bring up. I used to work, you guys know most of you used to work at, by the way, Dallas just scored to tie things up 1-1 in the second period right now. Robertson just slid one in. With about 19 minutes left to play in the second period. But yes, there was a lot of emotion for his last game. It was so cool to see him celebrated that way, because of course, he played through the pandemic season. He was able to have people back in Bridgestone Arena to send him off A lot of people, Karen O'Keefe says she cried at his last game. I completely understand. It was a very, very emotional thing. And this dude has been such a critical part of the Nashville sports fabric for so long that it's hard to not get emotional for people like that. So I'm glad that you guys so much enjoyed the Pekka Rinne experience throughout the course of his career here. And, now I'm glad that he gets to be celebrated tonight in front of, it looks like a packed house at Bridgestone. My radio show producer, Lucas, I know is there. There's a couple other people from my radio station there. And I know Alex Doherty is tweeting out live coverage from Bridgestone tonight on his Twitter account. Anyway, let's wrap things up with a Brymac bounce back, get you out of here for the week. Brymac bounce back, of course, presented by Brymac Mechanical. You let me know who needs to bounce back in sports this week, and I'll tell you about Brymac, who will help you bounce back if you are someone who struggles with HVAC needs. We all know how frustrating it can be. We all know how irritating it can be to not be in your comfort zone when you are in your home or even your commercial business. BRYMAK, Brymac Mechanical, is where you go. Brymac.com is the place for satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. Brymac is the best in the business. 3 locations in Middle Tennessee and, of course, in Kentucky to serve a wide area and make sure you are in your comfort zone. Commercial, residential, Brymac has you covered. BRYMAK, Brymac.com. Who needs to bounce back most in sports this week? Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I don't see many nominees in the comment section, so I may just take the walk-off for myself tonight. But who needs to bounce back in sports? Oh, Steven Snyder. Says Taylor Lewan is my bounce back. Yeah, I murdered him. I murdered him in cold blood. I took him out. It gave me great delight. I was doing my radio. I was in the middle of doing my radio show. Let me tell you the genesis of this, because you're right. I killed him dead, Steven. And he knows this. He knows that I won today. He will come for me tomorrow. He will come for me the next day. But today I claimed victory. So those of you know, Taylor Lewan, Titans left tackle, they have the podcast, Bussin' with the Boys, him and Will Compton and the entire cast of characters, Jack and Garrett and JP, Alex and Bloss. So we know the Bussin' with the Boys, right? And so Bussin' with the Boys, they like to make T-shirts because that's what Barstool Sports Empire is basically built upon, T-shirt sales. So they put together this Sellout Willie T-shirt because Compton turned into a bit of a capitalist during the postseason, and after the Titans got eliminated, he was selling For the Boys Bengals shirts and For the Boys Rams shirts and For the Boys Niners shirts and For the Boys Chiefs shirts, and that's all fine. Everybody's entitled to make a profit in our capitalist society. But Lewan thought it was too close to the bone after the Titans got bounced, so he made these Sellout Willie shirts. I never purchased Bussin' with the Boys gear. It's nothing. I have no ill will against the gear. It's just, a lot of it's like team centric, and you guys know, like I don't wear team gear. It's not what I do. As somebody who covers the Titans and then, hosts a talk show, sports talk show here locally, where we talk about all the local teams, but Preds gear, Titans gear. I just, I don't wear that kind of stuff, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's a weird, like, kind of job conflict thing. Anyway, so I bought the Sellout Willie shirt. I bought the Sellout Willie shirt because I think it'd be funny to wear because he's an idiot, and I like to make fun of Will Compton. And Taylor saw that I purchased this shirt and tweeted out, "It's so sad how bad Buck wants to be a part of Bussin' with the Boys." And I said, by the way, Lewan was on the radio show today, as was Walker Zimmerman from Nashville SC. So go check out the podcast because we had to call Taylor after I just killed him in cold blood. He said, "It's sad how bad I want to be a part of the Bussin' with the Boys." And I said, well, I hope very much that you'll continue to keep this kind of chirping up on social media when they ship your ass off to Detroit in the offseason. And I think you got a good laugh out of that because that was, maybe he got a little too close to the bone. I don't know that he's going to Detroit, but it would make me laugh if he did. I mean, no, I don't want him to get traded away if he doesn't want to go. Like, whatever. If it happens, it happens. I cover it, but like, I'm not actively rooting for Taylor to be traded. Although it was nice to stick it to him a little bit today. But he was a good sport on the radio show. The T-shirts are funny though. Go check it out. So who needs to bounce back in sports? Taylor Lewan. Absolutely so. But who else needs to bounce back in sports? Grambling State. because they just hired Art Damn Briles.
State confirms to Fox 44 Sports the school has hired Briles as its newest offensive coordinator. The move to the FCS school, which plays its games in the SWAC, will mean Briles will be kept back coaching college football for the first time since Baylor fired him in 2016 amid an investigation into sexual assault cases involving football players. Briles most recently coached 2 seasons at Mount Vernon High School before resigning from his position in 2020.
So, Grambling State hired Art Briles, the, of course, disgraced, hugely disgraced, and deeply problematic former Baylor head coach who was at the center of a widespread, campus-wide sexual assault scandal while he was their head football coach. Now, apparently he's been coaching high school for the last couple of years, which is just sickening to me, but he's back in college. He's back working for Hugh Jackson as offensive coordinator. He'll probably be successful, and he'll probably get another job in college, and it's just... it makes me sick. It makes me sick. So Grambling State needs to bounce back. That guy should not be working around children ever again. Ever again. All right. That's going to do it for us tonight. Enjoy the rest of the hockey game. Second period underway. Preds currently on the power play, tied up 1-1. Primetime show done for the week. Been a lot of fun this week. Radio show is going to be great tomorrow. Ron Slay of 3HL basketball, of course. The Vols hosting number 2 Auburn. We'll have Lindsay Rowley in studio, the Bally Sports halftime and sideline and pregame show host. We will also have Coach Mack of Titans Radio, and it'll be a great time. So looking forward to talking to you guys tomorrow on the radio. If not, have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you Sunday night on Primetime.